Hello friends, Adam here with FED. Now before we get started with talking about the hero class and Fire Emblem 3 houses, I want to thank everybody who has subscribed to the channel. I really appreciate it, it means a lot. We are getting very close to that 10,000 subscriber mile marker. So if you aren't subscribed yet, I'd really appreciate it if you did and help us reach that really cool milestone. Maggie and I are both really excited to meet it. Not gonna lie, it's just something that we've been looking forward to for a while, and it's like within reach now. So again, I appreciate everybody who supports us, and yeah, let's get on with today's discussion about the hero class. So in 3 houses, the hero class really doesn't have enough setting it apart or enough making it special to make it worth going into over a class like Swordmaster, or I'd even argue Assassin. Hero requires swords and axes to go into, it has abilities like Sword Fair Advantage, has decent stat spreads, but it doesn't have that it factor. It doesn't have like that one big boost in stats, that one really cool skill, that one thing that makes it worth investing in more than one weapon type, as opposed to just focusing on swords and going into Swordmaster and focusing on that. So let's talk about what we would change to the hero class to make it a more interesting choice at the very least. But before we do that, we need to go through everything, of course, as we usually do. And I've really enjoyed doing this series of talking about different classes that I think are a little either underrated or aren't as good, and how we can make them more fun to use. If you guys have any suggestions for classes you want me to talk about in the future, feel free to leave them in the comments. I will definitely take a look. I read every comment anyways, so I will definitely see it, and I will do my best to do what you guys would like to see. So let's talk about hero. Alright, B swords, C axes. Honestly, that isn't too difficult to meet. C axes, you can meet that in a couple of chapters with just a little bit of focus on your trainings and stuff, and then B swords is just pretty simple as well. Now, that's not asking too much in my opinion. I don't really hate the ranks, but we are going to change them later down the line, just because I think I want to change how the hero class works in this game. But yeah, so that's not that bad, honestly. And now to the least important part of the class, as I always say, the growth rates. So hero has these growth rate modifiers. So I love the addition of 30 HP to a growth rate. That's awesome. It's like really, really high. And 10 strength and 10 speed is great too. So, I mean, really these growth rates are fine. I wouldn't change them ever, probably. They get the job done. Alright, stat boosts. This is the more important, concrete thing that we need to worry about here. Stat boosts. These are always going to happen, and it's really important to focus on things that aren't luck dependent in Fire Emblem, because those are the only things really that you can depend on with 100% certainty. So these are 100% certain. These stats are going to make your unit better, right? 3 HP is kind of nice, and honestly, what we're gonna do, it's nice that they have them all right next to each other here on Cernus Forest. We're gonna essentially be comparing these 3 because I think they're the most relatable to hero, Swordmaster, and Assassin. I like the HP, the strength, the speed. It's like an even balance between everything, and that's definitely what they're trying to go for with hero, is to be this all-around fighter, rather than Swordmaster that focuses with like a lot of speed, and then of course Assassin, which even more speed, and then like a lot of dexterity. So it's a good idea. I appreciate the idea. I just think it's executed a little poorly. I would prefer to see like some more points in defense or something like that, or even a couple points in dexterity. Just something to make it even more well-rounded and make it a more tempting choice than just to go for the highest speed value you can pick. Especially Swordmaster, which I think just gives straight up better boost. You lose 2 HP, but you get 2 more speed and 1 dex and 1 defense instead of 1 luck, which is like, honestly, that's just straight up better. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Swordmaster just gets better boost. Assassin, on the other hand, is a much more specialized, 5 speed, which is fun, but their biggest thing is they have extra move. So yeah, so stats wise, I think it's a little disappointing. I like what they're going for, but we're definitely going to change that. All right, class abilities and arts. So hero has Sword Fair, Vantage, and as a mastered ability, they have Defiant Strength. Swordfare, of course. I love Swordfare. Plus 5 damage with swords is never a bad thing. Vantage is an interesting idea. I think it's funny that it becomes a class skill where you learn Vantage from Mercenary as a mastered ability. So I feel like you probably most likely, maybe not. There's a chances are you mastered Mercenary on your way to Hero, right? I guess you probably, I don't know, I probably would go Brigand to get Deathblow. But you might have done that already, so why is Vantage here? And really it's just to free up a skill slot, or sorry, an ability slot, because we changed the name of everything now. Ability slot. So it's like, okay. It's not my favorite skill to have here, though. I think I might change. I might change that. I probably will. Defiant Strength is probably one of my least favorite Defiant skills, too. Defiant Strength, once you're under a really low HP threshold, you just get extra strength. It's like plus 8 strength or something like that, which sounds nice, but it puts you in such a precarious situation that it's not worth it. And it's not something that's super abusable, like Defiant Avoid that you get from Falcon Knight, or even like Defiant Speed you get from Bow Knight and stuff like that. I like those better than Defiant Strength. So overall, Hero isn't bad by any means. It's a totally usable class. Like every class in this game is. But it's just, when you put it, like in a vacuum, Hero is good, but when you put it right next to other classes that do similar jobs, like Swordmaster, it just doesn't quite hold up. It's not as fun or interesting to use. So let's talk about how we make it a little more unique and also just a little more useful. So let's do this. My first change is going to be, instead of B swords and axes and C axes, I'm going to say B swords and C authority. Get rid of axes altogether. I don't care. Like, I don't care for the axes on heroes. I think it's pointless. We don't need it. I understand it's supposed to be this like cute hybrid sword axe class or whatever, but the only thing that says that it's that is the proficiencies required to get into the class. Like, it doesn't have axe fair or anything like that, or axe crit or something cool like that. It's just, here, you need axes to be a hero because we said so. So instead of axes, we're going to take that out and make it B swords and C authority. And I think that'll make for a much easier requirements, something that more people will be willing to do, because you want to raise those anyways, authority especially, on every character. And I don't know, if you're focusing on axes, there's just better classes anyways. You might hear Milo barking. I'm not going to cut it out. You're just going to have to say hi to him. I already said this to grow, so they don't matter all that much. I don't see any reason to change them, so we'll leave it as is. Stat boost is where we're going to start making some serious changes, though. So I'm fine with the 3 HP, the 2 strength, the 2 speed. That's like fine with me. But to make it a little more interesting, I want to take this luck off and put it here on defense. So we have 2 defense. And then I don't normally do this. I try to just like move around the stats that are already there, but I'm going to add some this time and put 2 on dexterity as well. To make it so it's 2 strength, 2 dex, 2 speed, and 2 defense. So the 4 most important physical attacker stats are all boosted a fair amount. And I think that sets it apart from like Swordmaster in a way that's interesting. Whereas Swordmaster now, as it stands now, Swordmaster just straight up has better boost except for the 2 HP, which is, I mean, I guess that sucks, but it doesn't matter all that much. If 2 HP is going to be it's rarely going to be a deal breaker. Whereas 2 speed can often be the deal breaker, especially in maddening. 2 speed can keep you from getting doubled or help you double and all sorts of stuff like that. So I really want this to have like more defense and more dexterity, something to make it stand out from Swordmaster. So yeah. And class abilities, this is where it's going to get interesting. We're keeping Swordfare because that just makes sense. I want to get rid of Vantage, and I want to get rid of Defiant Strength. I don't like those skills on this unit. And since we have this as like an authoritative class, because it's like a hero, they're supposed to be inspirational warriors on the battlefield. They're heroes, right? So instead of Vantage, I want to give Hero some sort of skill like Calming Voice or something along those lines. I'm trying to think of the names of the skills like Fates, like, was it like Rose's Thorns or something like that? Like adjacent units deal +2 damage. Stuff like that. I want that to be a class skill for Hero. Something that allows the hero to buff units around them. on the front lines especially. It'd be really cool. So like Sword Fair and that, and then I'm not going to add another ability because it's fine. And Defiant Strength, we're totally going to get rid of Defiant Strength because that's a dumb skill, and give them something like Soul as a combat art that you master for Hero, which allows you just to deal damage and get healed in return in exchange for a fair amount of weapon uses. So that, I don't know, I think, and I'd allow that one to be transferred between classes. I think that's just a really interesting and worthwhile skill, especially if you get to choose to use it. So yeah, I like that a lot. But yeah, I think that's everything. I don't know. I think overall Hero is actually a pretty good class. It's just really just needs something to make it stand out from other classes that do its job better. Like Swordmaster, just straight up, I'd much rather have Sword Fair and Sword Crit plus 10 than Advantage and Sword Fair, right? That's just like straight up better to me. But I hope these changes would make it a better class. I don't know, someday I would love to enact these and do some hacking or whatever, but it'd be fun. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to like this video, helps the channel grow. Please subscribe if you haven't, I really appreciate that. And of course, comment your thoughts. What would you do to the Hero class to make it more interesting and make it a more, not even viable, because it is totally viable. It's like an endgame ready class, honestly. But make it a more interesting pick over when compared to other classes like Swordmaster and Assassin. Something to make it unique. Anyways, again, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time, friends.